this year thinking this could be a group that would have the possibility of 3 Gold Gloves across the board, and they lead Major League Baseball in errors.
Well, we've talked about it before. You know how I feel about it, too. It's like, I would have thought that, maybe an A-ball, it's like staying in front of it, not fielding it off to your side. And there's so much youth on this field. And again, coaches in the big leagues are coaching fundamentals more than ever. The guys just to show up and be able to do that, right? Like, he's the number 1 prospect in baseball, kick and hit. He's a great athlete. How do you not get taught that earlier?
So there you go. That was Lou Merlone last night on the Red Sox broadcast as they beat the Tampa Bay Rays. 3-1 was the final score last night. But the story coming out of that game, or really the story of the night, all the way around, was Roman Anthony. Before the game and during the game. Even after a little bit, I guess, if you want to consider post-game and all that. And it wasn't anything overly concerning that came out of that. But whatever. Roman Anthony was the story of the night. Jared Carrabis is here to talk about it because I have a conspiracy theory as it relates to the events at Fenway Park last night. We talked about it a little bit on Felger and Maz, and I want to get into it in more detail. Because I think that when people ask me, Jared, just quickly, what I think the biggest problem is with the Red Sox, it relates to what happened with Roman Anthony last night at Fenway Park. And I'll explain. But again, Jared Carrabis here, as he is every Wednesday, schedules allowing. Sometimes we shift it. But Jared Carrabis, presented by Blue Moon Light, a light and refreshing citrus wheat beer with only 95 calories, brewed with real tangerine peel for a subtle sweetness and smooth finish, just like Jared. Enjoy Blue Moon Light today. 617-779-0985 is your phone number. You can call immediately. We'll take calls with Jared as we do every week. But again, that was Lou Merlone talking about the fact, Jared, that the Red Sox were on the field yesterday before the game, as they are every night when they prepare for the game. Media's there. Everyone's there getting ready for the game. Cameras are rolling. There is Roman Anthony literally getting instructed on how to field ground balls on the turf or on the grass at Fenway Park. Literally, like, keep the glove in front of you, point the webbing down, and this way you can see the ball go into the glove, and then doing drills as the ball, is hit to him with a fungo. Tell me, what was your initial reaction when you saw that yesterday?
I thought it was funny / absurd that the number 1 prospect. It's not that they're getting taught that at the big league level, or maybe it is, but it was just the idea that you can be the number 1 prospect in baseball, and they're talking to him as if though like today's his first day playing baseball. Like, here's how you field a ground ball in the outfield. I think he has technique, or he's done it, but he's played how many innings in his entire life in the outfield. It was just a bizarre scene. Like, I think, if you have that play in right field in his big league debut and you run it back 100 times, like, he probably makes that play 98 times.
Absolutely.
It was a matter of, it's your big league debut. There's a lot of nerves. He's never played in front of this many people. It's Fenway Park. That's why a lot of these guys, they make their big league debuts on the road. Like, this was a situation where we had an injury, so now we have to replace a guy on the roster that we didn't expect to have to call him up at this particular time. So a lot of different factors, but it was a little silly that this is how I field a ground ball in the outfield. Oh, I didn't even think about putting my glove down or getting in front of the ball. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's eyewash.
Yeah, look, eyewash is a good word. It's the most basic, one of the most basic things you learn in fielding a baseball. Put the nose of the glove down. Make sure you don't leave any space between the nose and the grass. Don't let the ball go under your glove. Get behind it so you can see it go in there. And that way also, if it takes some sort of bad hop, it hits you and you can pick it up quickly and still get the ball back in the infield. Pretty basic thing. And I agree, Jared. Silly. Why did they do it?
Probably because they felt like they had to. I know that you probably have a deeper conspiracy theory as to why this took place. But, you've been around the team. You were a beat writer for many, many years, a great one at that.
Thank you.
My favorite at the time. I know I've told you that before.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
But this is stuff that they do. I know that the cameras caught it and it was relevant because Roman Anthony content is going to get clicks. It's going to go viral. Anything Roman Anthony right now, people are going to eat it up. But if you just go to Fenway Park before a 7-10 game and you get there at 1 p.m., this is the stuff that everyone's doing. It was just video was taken of Roman Anthony doing it, and then it got put everywhere because it's almost like Roman Anthony content is currency for content creators right now.
Okay, so I think it's more than that, and let me get to it. But what if I told you that I think that scene almost perfectly illustrates what's wrong with the Red Sox right now? Okay, and when I say that, let me explain to you what I think happened. First of all, that's a basic play. And look, and anybody can screw it up, by the way. It's not the error that I'm focused on. He made an error, big deal. He was probably nervous. It was his first game, and he got a little sloppy with it because he came at it from the side. He didn't have his glove in the proper position.
He's also a left fielder playing right field at Fenway Park for the first time.
Okay, so we'll get to that too, because I think that's an interesting point as well. So there are, but whatever, even if he's a left fielder playing right field, that's a basic play that you should be able to make in any outfield, whether you're in left, center, or right. You charge the ball straight on, you have the glove out in front of you, and the nose of the glove is down. That's it. He did it wrong. But when you are nervous or you're distracted or whatever, you start to do things that are out of character because you revert. And you're focused on something else, or your head's not totally in it, or whatever. It can happen. This is the part that I'm interested in. The fact that they did it on the field in such a visible place and environment, to me, was not an accident.
Where else do you do outfield drills?
You do them on the field, but you do them at 1 o'clock. You don't do them like in the anticipation of batting practice.
What time was it?
You do it was later in the day than that. So here's what I'm getting at. They lots of people saw it. And typically those types of things happen early when the cameras aren't on and there's nobody at the ballpark to notice. Happens at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think the Red Sox coaching staff has been under a lot of fire this year. They've taken a lot of criticism, Alex Cora in particular. They don't work on fundamentals. Their defense sucks. They're not holding these guys accountable, et cetera, some of which is true and some is not. For example, I would tell you, I think there should be greater accountability when young guys are repeating mistakes. So, Ceddanne Rafaela keeps overthrowing cutoff men or, makes what I would call...
intentionally, though. These aren't accidents.
What do you mean? The throws?
Yes. Because after Cora will say, we're not hitting our cutoff men, and then Ceddanne will go and talk after the games and be like, no, that was the right play.
Right, exactly. Okay, so he's defying the right play, if you want to call it that, or the instruction, all of that. He's choosing to selfishly make a stupid play. Okay, all of which is true. And the coaching staff's taking heat for it. So you know what that was? That when you see the coaching staff working with Roman Anthony, you know what my immediate take on it was?
What's that?
Why are we seeing this? And the coaching staff is, and look, again, this all happened yesterday while we were on the air. So in the 24 hours I've had to think about it and talk to a couple of people, I've come to the conclusion that it was deliberate. And the Red Sox wanted the message out there, the uniformed Red Sox, Cora and his staff, wanted the message out there that when these guys are getting here, we have to teach them some of the basic stuff again. Okay, we have to go over fundamentals with them because they're not getting that in the minor leagues. It was a shot at Craig Breslow and the player development operation, the head of baseball operations, or call it the baseball operation. I think it was a shot at them to say, we are putting so much emphasis on launch angle and offense and hitting that these guys come to us, and none of them are ready to play an actual game in the big leagues. They're all working on specific skills and tools, but they're not working on actual game simulation or game happenings that require you to make a certain play a certain way. So you want to blame us for the fact that these guys are playing bad defense? Go ahead. Roman Anthony got here on day one. We didn't even have a chance to work with him yet. He was on the field and made that mistake. How can that be us? That's what I think it was. And I agree with them. I think that the problem in the Red Sox organization, you know how many people, Jared, call me and blame the manager? And I'll say, and my answer is, and look, it's fair, okay? Everything's fair game when you're talking about whatever baseball is now, a $12 billion industry. People pay for their tickets. They pay for their the ability to watch on TV and stream. They want a good product, and they're not getting it. They have a right to be angry about that. I look at the Red Sox and I say, you know what the biggest problem is? That. The fact that happened on the field, and not solely because Roman Anthony isn't being taught the right things, but because Alex Cora and the front office don't agree on what the right way is to develop these guys in the minor leagues. That's the problem. Cora wants to do it one way and believes in doing it one way. Craig Breslow and his baseball operation and probably ownership, because they believe in the analytics, believe in doing it another way. And so they are teaching them dueling things. They are dueling schools and dueling philosophies. And as a result, the full development of the Red Sox minor leaguer and prospect is being lost in the garbage that's going on between uniformed and non-uniformed personnel. So the fact that Roman Anthony isn't being taught fundamentals or enough of them, it's really not that he's being taught. It's that they're not being emphasized enough. And that the emphasis is on the other stuff is the problem. And the bigger problem is that Cora and Breslow, just to make it easy, are in total disagreement as to the best way to do this. I think that is the biggest problem with the Red Sox. I think they're broken on the inside, and I think that thing the other night on the field or last night on the field was evidence of it. So, and I know I just gave you a lot, and I talked a lot, and you're a guest. We'll get Jared's thoughts on that. We'll take your calls. Roman Anthony, the Red Sox, where they are and how they got there tonight on the Baseball Hour.
Maz on the Sports Hub.
It's funny that you said it could be the nail in the coffin for Cora, and the reason I keep saying, the reason I've said, because I'm going to change my position on this after talking to somebody a couple of days ago. So the reason I've said, oh no, he's got time. They've signed him to this contract extension. Why would they move on from him now? Talked to somebody the other day and said, look, I like Alex, but he's different. He's different. He's not as engaged.
You mean he's different than other years?
Yes.
Okay.
He's different than he's been in the past. He's not as locked in. He used to be really locked in. Some of his decisions are strange. So something is going on, and the guess is from this person I was talking to was just like there's a lot of dysfunction there. There's just a tremendous amount of dysfunction.
Dysfunction in
front office.
Okay.
Between this back and forth between the front office and the manager's office.
Yes.
A long-term contract's the perfect time to bust someone's balls if you don't like the way it's going. Fire me. Go ahead. I get the money. I'm out the door. Bye-bye. Thank you. So, but anyway, Jared, my conspiracy theory, and then I want to get to some calls. The idea that the thing was on the field with Roman Anthony last night was a show. And it was designed to show that the coaching staff is working with these players and the type of stuff that they have to do is rudimentary because these players are not coming to the big leagues ready to win games. Am I out of my mind?
So in the first segment there, this was all derived from the Roman Anthony error in his debut and then him working on it in the outfield before the game last night. But I think the crux of it, or at least Cora's argument that you're trying to push, it should be around Christian Campbell. Like, he's statistically the worst defender at his position in Major League Baseball.
Correct.
So that's where I would look at, Roman Anthony, it's nerves. Number one, like, there's a lot of pressure on the kid. And what I said earlier, we have a left fielder playing in right field. There's a lot of different factors there. So it's like, I'm not going to beat the kid up over one play. I'm not going to say he arrived to the big league roster not having learned how to play the position defensively. But what we can look at with the much larger sample would be Christian Campbell playing second base.
Yes.
Because that has been horrendous. And then if we want to single out a specific play, we can look at last night it was game one of the series where there was a line drive hit up the middle and he dropped a routine. Like the Red
Campbell.
Sox. Yes.
Yeah. I remember
Red
that
Sox
play. Going to his right and then missed it with his left.
The Red Sox made 3 errors in that game. They were only charged with 1. The Campbell play should have been an error. Jarren Duran missed a routine fly ball, didn't get an error for it. I can't remember, it was Bernardino on the mound. He tried to pick the guy off at second base, threw the ball into center field. I believe that was the only error
He
that
got
they
an
were
error on
charged
that.
with.
Yep.
But they made 3.
Yep.
This team leads the big leagues in errors, and they've had some errors taken off the board.
There was another one last night.
Yeah.
There was another one last night, a sliding play by Duran that he should have had. I mean, again, it wasn't that tough a play. So you hear the word sliding and you say, well, he's diving for the ball. Well, he wasn't diving. He was coming in and the ball was sinking. So he slid. The ball hit him in basically chest high. He was sliding it, but he missed it. And it's not an error, but you got to make that play. They have a lot of those.
I don't know how like someone could look so good at a premier defensive position like center field and then get moved a shade over to left and just look like a completely different defender.
And you're talking about Duran.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just think that this gap, and this is the part that I'm interested in. Michael Hawley talks about it there. I hadn't heard that till now. I didn't. Holly said it today, filling in on the midday show on Zolak and Bertrand, and I know that you heard it. I didn't. You mentioned it to Jimmy Stewart, our producer. We just played it. I want to use that on Felger and Maz tomorrow.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so he says there's dysfunction.
Happy to help, Tony.
He thank you, Jared. We need all the content we can get. He said the conflict or the dysfunction between Cora and Breslow is still there, or between Cora and the front office. Now it's Breslow, used to be Bloom. I think that's apparent. I think when you see it, the way that they play, there's no way that Cora is happy with these guys coming up and not ready to play team baseball in the big leagues. To me, that's the part, and I think they're in complete disagreement over how they run this organization.
I want to give a shout out to Coley, who I do Section 10 with. This is one of his takes that he's been throwing out there for a while in terms of the dynamic between Cora and Breslow.
Yeah.
Last year, when he signed his extension, the Netflix cameras weren't there, but he's reading into it heavily that Cora made all of them come out to him in Colorado when they were about to just come home. Like, why not just wait a couple days to go back to Fenway to sign his extension? He's like, no, you guys, if you want me to sign it, you can come out here. And he made them all go to Colorado before he signed his extension. I think that there might be a power struggle situation. I don't know. I mean, I'm very hands off this year. People are like, oh, what do you know? I keep my hands out of it with the Red Sox situation. I talk to way more people on other teams in other organizations than the Red Sox situation. I want nothing to do with it.
So look, and Jared, I'm not as hands-on with them as I used to be either. Okay? I'm being 100% honest. I'm just telling you, you can see it. I think you can see it.
You can feel it.
Yes, no question.
His demeanor, his tone when he answers questions after games, when he answers questions and it seems like the team is spiraling and he doesn't seem fazed by it. To me, I'm taking that as not my problem.
Yeah, right. Don't look at me.
I didn't create this.
Yeah.
Like, this is not my mess.
Don't look at me. I mean, that's the vibe that comes out. Yeah. So we'll take a couple of calls here. I'll ask people, as always, please just be quick. There's a lot of you on the line. We'll start with Peter in the car, who says he agrees with Maz on Cora. So he's been only on for a couple of minutes. Other people have been holding longer, but I like the idea of this call. Agrees with Maz. What do you got, Peter?
So, yeah, Maz, you're 100% right. This is all about Maz's Cora's disdain for baseball operations. It's obvious. And the thing that happened last night is not a conspiracy theory. It's obvious. So I think that eventually, within a year or two, Cora is going to take over baseball operations.
So
because this experiment that, with analytics is going to fail. This is all about they gave up on the Dombrowski thing. They're going to eventually go back to that.
Okay, so look, you might be right. I have an opposite prediction. I think Cora gets fired and they stick with Breslow. That's what I think. Just quickly, Drew, Jimmy, is Drew in a car or Drew in Boston ready? Is he there? Drew, are you there?
Yeah, so, God, how petty is Cora with all these moves? But nonetheless, he's responsible for everything that goes on, especially after he signed that deal, because he knows what goes on inside the organization, what's wrong with it, what he doesn't like, and he doubled down by choosing to be a part of that and continuing on for a minimum of another 3 years. So you guys have, I've listened to you since day one, Tony, you and Mike, and you always say the product on the field, regardless of the sport, as dumb as they are, dumb mistakes, offsides, penalties, whatever, it's the coach's fault, the manager's fault. But you twist yourself in pretzel knots to defend Cora. I don't get it.
So, because in this particular case, look, you want to fire Cora. I'm just telling you that the player development thing, there's no way the manager is telling Ceddanne Rafaela to overthrow the cutoff man. There's just no way. It's just not realistic. So this is why I say you blame the player. But here's what I'll give the caller, I'll give up ground on. When Rafaela does it over and over again.
How do you not bench him, make an example out of him?
Thank you, Jared. Go ahead.
Well, the other thing to the caller's point, it's different with baseball because in other sports, it's like you have one level below. And it's easier for like a head coach to keep an eye on the players that are about to come up. With baseball, you have so many different levels and so many there's managers of these other teams and coaches of these other teams for a reason. They're supposed to be instructing these players on how to become professional baseball players so that by the time they get to the big leagues, they're ready to roll. Like Alex Cora is not going down to Salem and checking out the outfielders being like, hey, are we learning fundamentals out here? That's not his job. That's their job. So that's why I kind of look at Breslow's I guess role in all of this is like whose decision is it to be hiring the folks that are responsible for instructing the players as they make it through the ranks? Whose decision is it to promote players to each level? Whose job is it to be keeping a list of boxes that need to be checked before a player can advance to the next level? I venture to guess it's not Alex Cora. Alex Cora is not sitting there being like, all right, we got this kid down in single A. We're going to promote him to double A because he did this, this, and this. Those are scouts. Those are minor league coaches. And then ultimately it's Breslow's decision. So to the earlier point about trying to make this great display about, hey, look, we're teaching him how to play defense up here because it looks like you guys didn't before he got here. So, yeah, I do think that Cora takes a bunch of unnecessary flack. He's not blameless. Of course not. But talking about to the caller's point, because I know Felger had a meltdown the other day about, how do we block Veritek for manager calls? I think we're going to get a bunch of Cora for GM calls because ultimately the hiring of Craig Breslow was a bleep show. Like, he was the 20th choice by the organization. So if they finish 500 below, miss the playoffs, especially after John Henry spent money, like he spent money on Bregman, he spent money on the Garrett Crochet extension. This was not a half-assed roster that he put together. Then they're prone to firing the chief baseball officer. But then you also put yourself in a position where if it was a bleep show when you hired Craig Breslow and no one wanted the job because that role was such a rotating door, I do think that Cora slotting into that role makes the most sense because A, I think he wants to do it. B, the organization loves him. And C, who else is going to sign up for a job where the lifespan is a year and a half, 2 years?
Well, so look, I get all that part. I just think that they're married to the analytics. I think John Henry's married to it, Jared. So I don't think, and at this stage, here's the part I agree with with the caller. The dysfunction I largely put on Cora. At least this time, he knew what he was getting into. Every indication was that Cora was gone. He was going to leave. He wasn't going to sign. He was going to get a contract somewhere else and leave. He decided to sign here. He decided to accept it. And I remember thinking that day, fine, it's his life. He can do whatever the hell he wants. But to me, he just forfeited his right to bitch about the way the Red Sox are being run. He sold out. He took the money. He decided to come back. And what, now he's surprised that they're analytically driven and that all of a sudden they're not teaching their kids in the minor leagues? When Jarren Duran came up 3 years ago, whenever it was 2022, right?
21.
Okay, so when Jarren Duran came up that year, even the second year, though, he wasn't ready to play in the big leagues. Cora knew it then. So this is nothing new. That part I put on Cora. And I think that Cora doesn't want to buy in. Now, I get why, but I think that's what's creating the problem. Now, if they bring in another manager and he buys in, are the players going to be any better? I don't know. I doubt it. I think they're broken internally. I think their player development operation is fractured. It's effed up. It's screwed up.
I think Alex Cora's demeanor this year is, I'm taking it as this is my last year. It's almost like you paid me to be here, so I'm here. My contract's up at the end of the year. I'm going to have other options. This is going to be your problem if it's not fixed. It's not year one of a 3-year deal demeanor. Like if it's year one, it should be, hey, I'm going to be here for the next 3 years, so like let's fix this now. Like if I don't agree with how these players are being developed before they get to me, let's have a conversation about it so that we can all be on the same page and they're learning the things that they need to learn. In my opinion, as the manager of the big league team, it feels like there's a disconnect.
Definite.
Yeah.
There's a definite disconnect. And if you're asking me, I think Cora's going to be the one to go. They had a chance to hire him as the baseball executive and they skipped over it.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know.
What do you know, Jared?
Yeah, I don't know that he was given the opportunity to like interview.
No. But they had the opportunity to elevate him.
Yes.
And they didn't.
Right. But I mean, because at the time it's like, you have a guy that was the GM of a winter league for like a month. Like that's not comparable to moving into a big league. I think in Cora's mind, he thinks, it would be a seamless transition. Like I've been a GM for the Dominican Winter League or whatever winter league it was. I think it was the Dominican Winter League. But to become a Major League Baseball chief baseball officer, it's quite the leap.
So I agree, but they also hired a guy that wasn't ready for the job either, and that was Buffalo.
Yep.
So they could have hired Cora, and they didn't, which is why I think ultimately he's going to be the one to go. But make no mistake, they're screwed up. That's the problem. Kevin Majori's got your headlines. Don't go anywhere. More on this when we come back in the Baseball Hour.
They make up the spine of the organization, the lifeblood of the organization. Every organization has people like that. Hey, the administrative assistant who's been there for 30 years, who can tell you everything.
Nancy Meyer.
Yeah,
the sportsology group last year.
Great example. Nancy Meyer with the Patriots.
Been there forever.
Worked for Parcells and worked for Belichick. And knows Pete Carroll knows everybody, knows everything. And so I think Craig Breslow bringing in all the driveline people and just kind of changing more analytically based has caused some tension and friction at Fenway Park.
Well, you alienate people.
Yeah.
You feel useless. Yeah.
But I don't know if now is Alex affected by that, Cora, or is there something else? But he's been a little.
I'm telling you, I'm going to shove this down your throat over and over again because I felt so strongly about this when I stopped covering baseball. The most important relationship in any organization is the GM and the manager. It is the most important relationship in any organization, Jared.
It's been broken since 2019.
It really has. It's been broken for a long time, and it's why they're in the place they're in. And the only constant in that period is Cora. Now, I would also tell you that I don't believe in the analytics. So I didn't believe in Bloom. I don't believe in Breslow. So if you're asking me personally, do I believe in Cora more than I believe in those guys? My answer is yes. At the same time, I'll tell you, I don't think the Red Sox are moving on from young, analytically driven executives. Do you?
No, I don't. I think that once we were kind of in the realm of John Henry saying, well, how do we just recreate the Rays here? I don't think we were that far off. It's not the Rays. It's a combination of the Dodgers and the Rays, but you're not going to spend as much. You're not going to spend as much as the Dodgers, and you're not going to have as low of a salary as the Rays, but it's somewhere in between there that they wanted to adopt. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem is that it's a hybrid. You're trying to balance these two schools, and I don't think they have figured that out. Not even close. In fact, not only have they not balanced it, I think they're fighting. They're fighting for territory. Matt's in Peabody. Matt, what do you got? Matt.
Hey, guys, Yep.
Go ahead, please. Yeah, you're on the air.
I just want to call and say that you guys are a couple of morons when you take about Roman Anthony practicing the fundamentals. Any sport at any level, when you start to break down, you go back to the basics. The first thing they teach you in baseball, pull the inside pitch, push the away pitch. You start pulling everything, they start throwing 100 balls outside until you hit right field. Thanks, morons.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah,
Did you write that down? It sounded like he was reading a script.
Yeah, it felt that way. No, he wouldn't be the first one.
Yeah.
Do they actually teach you how to field a ground ball when you're 22 years old? And again, remember
what it instructs. Yeah.
But remember what Merlone said. This isn't a kid they're bringing up from the minors. This is the best prospect in the game.
Correct.
The best prospect in the game. You think the Mariners did that with Ken Griffey Jr. when they brought him up? That they had him, they showed him how to hold the glove, and they made sure all the cameras were there to watch. You think they did that with Ken Griffey Jr.? I don't.
No, I don't think so.
Ryan in Tewksbury. Ryan, go ahead.
How's it going? I was just wondering what you think on Roman Anthony bouncing back the next day and how that compares to the two other rookies that kind of hasn't bounced back at all, really.
Okay, Jared?
I mean, it's one game. I mean, it was a big hit. It was a big moment for him. He's obviously the more talented of the group, but I think that they're similarly talented. And when we talk about a guy like Christian Campbell, we are talking about the AL Rookie of the Month for the month of April. It's been all downhill since then. And is there a real possibility that when Willier is ready to come back, that Campbell's the guy that goes down? Everyone's like, well, what are we going to do with the roster spot? Well, I think that that's certainly on the table, because not just because he's struggled offensively, but because he has statistically been the worst defender at his position. I think that that's very much on the table. But Meyer, it's fine. That's what you asked me for my thought before I came in today.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're at on this. I am very displeased at the idea.
I'm glad you brought this up.
Yeah, that they're not allowing. And so I wanted to put this on you. The Red Sox don't want Meyer and Anthony to face lefties yet. They want to ease them into this. Mm-hmm. Is that a Cora decision? Is that a Breslow decision?
I'm going to go with Breslow.
So I tweeted it this morning. I said, I hate that they're not letting them face lefties. Like, this should be treated as a developmental year. Let them develop. How do you know? Like, if you look at Roman Anthony's numbers against lefties in AAA, he's hitting like 360 with a 9-something OPS. He was crushing lefties. And Cora said something to the effect of, well, the lefties up here are different.
Correct.
They're much better. Okay, well, how do we know he can't hit them? If you don't let him face them, how do we know that he can't hit them?
Right.
I hate that, especially because if you're going to really go for it next year, when are they going to get the experience against lefties? How do you know that they can't hit big league lefties? So when I put this out there, I didn't name names. I just said I hate that they're not letting them face the lefties. And everyone's like, well, when are you going to call out Cora for that? Why don't you name Cora if you hate it so bad? Because I don't know that this is a Cora directive. I have no idea. But if you were to ask me, I don't think Cora has the authority to be like, hey, Roman Anthony's not in the lineup today. Like, hey, Craig, I know that it's your baseball team. It's my lineup card. I'm not putting Roman Anthony, the number one prospect in baseball that we just called up, that everyone was begging to be here. I'm not putting him in the lineup. Why? Oh, because a lefty's starting in New York. Okay, well, what if I say that he is starting today? I would like to think that Breslow would have final say, right? We've all seen Moneyball. We've all seen, the Pena and I forget who else, Hatterberg, that debate over first base.
Right.
It's got to be something similar. Like, this has to be a conversation of, it's the number one prospect in baseball. What do you mean he's not going to face lefties when he hit 360 with a 9-something OPS against them in AAA? What do you mean?
No, it's a good point. And look, again, Cora's the one that said the lefties are different in the big league, so it leads you to believe that that's Cora's logic. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like something Cora would do. To me, here, and I'll tell you the big reason why. Myers can play third base. Cora knows Meyer can play third base. He's better than Toro. Toro, they're platooning at first, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in other words, when there's a lefty going, they put Romy Gonzalez at first, and they move Toro to third, even though they're platooning. So they're platooning with Toro to get him out of the lineup at first base, putting Gonzalez in there, but then they move him to third and take Meyer out? Doesn't make any sense.
Toro's been fine. Like, he's actually been quite good, but is he a part of your future? No.
No.
Like, I would rather give those reps and opportunities to Marcel Meyer.
And he's not smooth at third base. Again, I'm not telling you, look, it looks clunky. He's getting the job done for the most part. There have been a couple of misplays over there, too. Brad in Connecticut. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, Maz. I'm not going to call you a moron like one of the other callers did.
It's okay, I can take it.
But on Roman Anthony, I think we got to give the kid some credit. I don't know what the details are. Maybe the coaches did want him out there in front of the cameras. Who knows? But why not say that the kid actually wanted to be out there to take extra ground balls of his own accord? Is there any possibility of that?
Well, so look, what's he going to say? No, if they ask him. Now, look, did he do it on his own? Sure. Again, but I'm not focused on the fact that he was out there, Jared. I'm focused on the time he was out there, at what time of day, and the fact that it was so public. That work usually gets done earlier in the day. Okay, especially if it's something as embarrassing as what happened to him. I mean, again, he overran the ball. It went right behind him. All of a sudden, the guy gets 3 bases out of it. And all of a sudden, the next day, they show him on the field working. That's sort of make an example of the kid in some ways. And I don't think they'd handle their best prospect like that unless they had some ulterior motive. I'm not telling you I'm right. I'm just telling you that it could have easily been done in private where no one would have seen it. Could have easily been done at another time. And Cora knows that. David Malden, quickly.
Jared, I love you, but they let Anthony face a lefty his first game. But, Maz, I understand what you're saying. Like, they're trying to make an example of the front office, trying to do that. And I get it. It's a kid's first day in the show. But here's the thing. He's on the 40-man roster. So from mid-February till they left Mexico, they don't teach any fundamentals at Fort Myers?
So,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, so David, again, people take this literally, like they've never shown him how to hold a glove, or no one has ever showed him how to hold a glove. It's about what they emphasize. What do the Red Sox value now? Okay, this is the issue. What do they value, Jared? Like, if I said to you, do they value launch angle or do they value fundamental defense, what would you say?
It depends on who you're talking about when you say the Red Sox, because the Red Sox are now a large group of people.
Okay, so I'm talking about the player development operation, not Alex Cora. I'm talking about Craig Breslow and the baseball operation.
Launch angle, exit velocity.
So that's my answer, too.
I keep going back to that Jim Rice story in spring training.
Bingo.
It's like you got a kid saying, hey, Hall of Famer, Jim Rice, man who has 400 home runs in the big leagues, can you talk to me about hitting? And the Red Sox being like, don't listen to anything he says of this Hall of Famer. We do things our way. It's like, well, I mean, I think that there's nothing wrong with taking a buffet of information and applying it to where you see fit.
I mean, that incident really, to me, again, crystallizes the whole problem. Think of it. You have a Hall of Fame hitter who a player asks for advice, and then someone interjects and says no. So, and look, the difference of opinion, again, in and of itself is fine. Of course. But he interjected himself into the conversation. And, it was started a conflict over it. So they're territorial about it. That's what it tells you. They're territorial about it. You mentioned the thing about Anthony being in right field. Jimmy, can we do this quickly? Can we just play this cut? This is O'Brien and Alex Spear during the game last night. It was the same conversation that Lou Merlone had about Roman Anthony and the fact that they had to do the instruction that they did with him. But it's about playing right field at Fenway. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Whatever happened to that
guy? Did he figure out how to play right?
A little bit. But, I mean, it is the toughest outfield spot for my money in baseball.
Absolutely. It's a very, very different field. It's certainly a different right field than what you have in AAA in Worcester, where he did play some right field earlier this season as well as last season. The right field in Worcester more closely mimics left field at Fenway. So it's interesting. There were some people around the game, put it that way, that were surprised to see Roman Anthony making his big league debut in right field.
Count me as one of those, just because we've seen a lot of good outfielders look really bad in right field at Fenway, and they're not bad outfielders.
Yeah, and, in terms of the exposure to the wall, he did have that at least in both Portland and...
Okay, so there you go. Like the whole idea of putting him in right field. Should they have put him in left, Jared? Should they have accommodated him?
Yes, especially for your big league debut. I think, to the point that I made earlier, a lot of these guys, and we've seen it historically, if you're a big name prospect and there's going to be all this attention and focus on you and media, they debut on the road for a reason. That's strategic. Tito would make sure of it, that, we got someone that we're calling up, call him up on the road. The fact that you had an injury, Roman has to come up at Fenway, and it's nice that he can just hop in his car and drive over from Worcester and be in the lineup the same day that he gets called up. That was also another thing that Tito used to do. Be like, if you get called up today, you're going to sit on the bench.
Bingo.
You're going to observe. You're going to chill. Like the thrill of getting called up, like just experience it, and then you'll be in the lineup tomorrow. Now, with both Meyer and now Roman Anthony, you've gotten Fenway Park call-ups and in the lineup the same day. Like they drove from Worcester, didn't have any pregame routine, and just, here you go, you're in the lineup for the Boston Red Sox. Roman Anthony, you're hitting fifth. Marcelo Meyer, 3 days after your call-up, you're our cleanup hitter. Congratulations. So I don't know that they've handled it swimmingly.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I get that it's an emergency with the call-up because of the injury. Meyer got called up because of the Bregman injury. Anthony got called up because of the Willier injury. So you can't exactly handle it the way that you wanted to, but at least put them at their natural positions. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, they've butchered this, Jared, on so many levels it isn't even funny. Okay? Again, they've butchered it multiple ways. Anyway, we're at the end of your visit.
That's sad.
Try not to shed a tear.
I know. I'm going to be in Arizona next week for the MLB Combine.
Oh, it's that time again?
It's that time of the year, yes. The MLB Network experience of me going to Chase Field to interview some of these first-rounders is going to be very exciting.
Okay, maybe you can teach some of these people how to play defense.
I could do that.
As always, Jared, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tony.
Always good to have your company.
It's good to see you.
Joe Murray has got you for the balance of the night, but Kevin Ruggiero will have your headlines here. Everybody have a good night. We'll catch you tomorrow.
This is the Baseball Hour on the Sports Hub. Elevate your style